Part 6 of the Bedrogfontein 4x4 route covers the section from the 27th to the 30th kilometre and includes the technical riverbed section and a very steep climb out to the top of the false summit. If you intend driving this route, we strongly recommend first watching the orientation and overview video as well as all the preceding videos in the correct sequence. Each video contains unique information pertaining to your safety, technical, historical and tourism information. Over this 200-meter long riverbed section, it's advisable to get a passenger to guide you from outside. Make sure your vehicle is in first gear low range and select your driving lines with the utmost care. This is the most likely part of the entire trail where vehicle damage is likely to occur. Going back in history to 1925, the Minister of Lands, Colonel Denace Rates, set aside the Strathmore and Mentone Forest Reserve for the elephants. These areas had been set aside as forest reserves as early as 1890. In addition to the farm Canmure, these areas became the core of the Addo Elephant National Park. In 1926, the National Parks Act was passed by Parliament and the Kruger National Park was declared. This was followed by a proposal to develop a national park in Addo to protect the remaining elephants. This intersection marks the start of the steep climb up towards the false summit and includes 2 hairpins and 1 horseshoe bend. The gain in altitude allows elevated views of parts of the reserve. The road along this climb is single width and is unguarded on the drop side. There are water diversion mounds that run obliquely across the road every 50 meters or so, which force a lower speed, but they do tend to throw your passengers around a bit. It's best to be patient and clear each of these at lower than 10 kilometers per hour. By 1931, the Addo Park was proclaimed to protect the remaining Addo elephants. The first park manager, Mr. Stephen Harold Trollope, a former Kruger National Park ranger, chased the elephants into the park using shotguns, firecrackers and fires. Only 1 bull remained outside the park and it was unfortunately shot by Trollope when it charged one of his men. And so died what would have been the 12th elephant in the park. The area was inadequately fenced and the movement of elephants continued to cause problems on surrounding farms. Elephants were killed as a result of conflicts with farmers and collisions with trains. In 1933, Trollope started supplying oranges, hay, pumpkins, lucerne and pineapples to elephants in order to keep them within the park boundaries, which was quite effective. Since elephants visited the feeding site at certain times, the practice of inviting visitors also began. In 1934, he experimented with electric fencing using only 1 strand, but the elephants learned to push over the supporting poles which weren't electrified. One night in 1936, the elephants left the park and paid a visit to the Kearney station, forcing the staff to lock themselves in with the station master. In the process of their visit, the elephants destroyed a wooden iron building. The false summit is reached at an altitude of 413 meters above sea level. A long and straight descent follows, where the road can be seen a long way ahead. The speed bumps continue unabated, so although there are no bends along this section, speed still needs to be kept below 30 kilometers per hour. By 1943, Graham Armstrong was appointed as warden of the park. He tried trap guns, tins hung on the fence that would rattle and disturb the animals, and he even tried a tripwire that caused a gun to discharge and in the process ignited a bottle of benzene which would set the grass on fire. The noise and the fire helped, but the elephants soon found an alternative route. Armstrong continued experimenting with methods of containing the elephants. Some time later, after he realized that the shock from the electric fence that the elephant received was too low, he tried using a parallel electric fence, but the elephants always found a way around it. Some time later, Armstrong experimented with a fence built of railway lines, poles, lift cable and wire. He eventually succeeded in building an elephant-proof fence. This fence was first used to protect the windmills on the farms. The Armstrong fence, named after its developer, is still used around some of the park today. Be sure to watch Part 7 of the Bedrogfontein 4x4 route.